Good afternoon. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here. Finally, we get to celebrate all of our awesome toys. My name is Amy Hardison, and this is...
I'm Amanda Cooper.
And we would just like to welcome all of you to our 2020 Teacher Forum Reception Induction Ceremony. It's an incredible honor to be here with our newly inducted Teachers of the Year. We would like to provide a little bit of thanks to all the principals, board and cabinet members, and guests here to acknowledge these outstanding individuals who are some of the best and brightest teacher leaders in all of Berkeley County. At this time, we would like to also welcome our special guests, Mr. Mark Bonsall, President and CEO of Santee Cooper, Miss Sarah Schumacher-Gans, our South Carolina State Teacher of the Year, Dr. Wolf, Chief Academic and Innovation Officer and District Liaison for Teacher Forum, Dr. Eddie Ingram, our Superintendent, many members of Central Services, and members of our board. Welcome. We are so happy to have you here this evening, along with our principals, to recognize and celebrate all, finally, together, our BCSD 2020 toys.
So good evening, everybody. So things look a little different, right? But we are finally here to celebrate our amazing toys. Guys, this has been a long year. It's been a long road. We are truly practicing our life and work skills, resilience, adaptability, critical thinking, and things look a little different. When I went to get dressed this morning, my biggest accessory and what I wanted to match was my mask to my dress, right? So we also have hand sanitizer. Tables are spaced out. It looks a little different, but we are going to make the most of it. And we are so excited to welcome you into our Teacher Forum family, because it truly is a family. So without further ado, let's get this celebration started. We would like to welcome our very special guest speaker, Mr. Mark Bonsall. He's the President and Chief Executive Officer. Mr. Bonsall is the Chief Executive Officer for Santee Cooper, South Carolina's largest provider of electricity and public power utility owned by the people of South Carolina. Mark brings to Santee Cooper over 40 years of experience with the Salt River Project, a large Phoenix-based public power utility. Mark served as CEO at SRP for 8 years, strengthening SRP's financial position and increasing its regional price advantage. Before that, Mark held several positions, including Associate General Manager and Treasurer. At Salt River, he led teams involved in moving the utility to a greener energy resource mix, in negotiations over deregulation, and in developing and deploying integrated customer solutions and fully integrated grid. Mark earned his bachelor's degree in engineering at Arizona State University, along with a master's in business administration from the University of Pennsylvania. Beyond SRP, Mark is a recognized leader in the industry, having served as board member and chairman at the Large Public Power Council. He serves or has served on several other influential boards, including the Electric Power Research Institute, American Public Power Association, the North American Electric Reliability Council, and the Arizona Commerce Authority. Mark and his wife Mary live in Panopolis, and they have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Mark Bonsall.
Thank you for that very kind introduction. I'm not actually sure who that sounded pretty impressive to me, to be quite honest with you. Thank you for the opportunity. We're grateful to be here and to honor each of you. Berkeley County's best of the best. Congratulations to you. As they indicated, I come from a family full of teachers, and so I understand that you have a so vital and very challenging vocation, particularly this year. Santee Cooper appreciates your commitment. Many of our employees went to Berkeley County schools. and because of the teachers in this county. They're hardworking, they're talented, they're critical thinkers, all of the things that you seek, I'm sure, to instill in your students. Our community appreciates your commitment. Berkeley County is growing rapidly with new businesses moving here every day. We need a strong education system to prepare students for those new businesses and all other jobs as well. Some jobs require technical college training, others require bachelor's or master's degree. All require great elementary, middle, and high school performance to prepare students for that next step. Santee Cooper values and supports you. You know, one of the greatest opportunities I had when I first got here, which is a little over a year ago, was to attend our Energy Educators program out at WAMP. And for more than 30 years, we've conducted this program with the regrettable exception of this year. But I had the opportunity to meet so many of you and go through the programming as the teacher attendees did, and I learned a lot about Santee Cooper. And the teachers learned a lot about, I think, the latest in electricity, renewable energy, and water technology. So it was a great, great opportunity. As I mentioned, I come from a family of teachers, and I know you get this story all the time, but I'm going to tell you mine. Can't help myself. So my mom's a teacher, 35-year teacher, third grade in Glendale, Arizona. In Glendale, Arizona, you might recognize today as being the home of several Super Bowls, but at the time I was growing up there, small community, smaller than Moncks Corner, actually. And I had the opportunity in my prior vocation to be on the board of a museum called the Herd Museum. The Herd Museum celebrates the arts, cultures, lifeways, history, etc. of the 26 American Indian tribes in the Southwest. So my mom took her third grade class on a field trip to that museum every single year for the 35 years she was a teacher. She passes away, and a few weeks later, the family gets several letters, fortunately, but one of them in particular, and you know what's in the letters, and it's from her former students. And one of them in particular had a picture included that was her and my mom on that field trip to the Herd Museum. Now, I'm a utility executive, which is one of the most boring things you could possibly be in the history of the world, to be quite honest with you. And I never have the opportunity to make that kind of an impression on people. And I know teaching is a tough gig and it's a complicated endeavor, but I got to tell you, I envy you for the opportunity you have to make a difference. So again, congratulations to our outstanding educators. I thank you for all you do to help Berkeley County, our school system, and our students so that they may be successful for life. I'm glad to be with you tonight. Congratulations to you. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Bosno. Now we would like to recognize our honorary keynote speaker, Miss Sarah Schumacher-Gams, our 2021 South Carolina State Teacher of the Year. She is a National Board Certified English teacher. She taught for 17 years and it currently serves as our South Carolina Teacher of the Year. She majored in English at the Honors College of the University of South Carolina and earned her Master's of Arts in Teaching. Sarah studied abroad at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland and discovered a passion for travel and the global classroom, believing that multicultural experiences create global citizens. She partnered with Education First, EF Tours in 2006, and has led 9 student tours abroad for over 250 students. She was a keynote speaker for EF in Paris, France. As an adjunct professor, Sarah teaches young adult literature, English methods in education, and APEC Module 3, a graduate program for teacher certification at Columbia College. Sarah loves providing a strong foundation in literacy for her students to pursue personal and career goals. It is my absolute honor to introduce Miss Sarah Gams, our 2021 South Carolina Teacher of the Year. Give her a round of applause, please.
Hi. Well, as par for the course for us, technology sometimes doesn't work the way we think it's going to work, but we're all used to that, right? We've got that under our belts. It is so great to be here, to be back here. Actually, Mr. Bonsall, I am a former Santee Cooper employee. I was appointed as an environmental intern at Santee Cooper right the summer before my senior year of college. And I worked as we were getting our steel-toed boots to go out and spray pesticides in the helicopters and pull the elephant ears from the lakes and the Old Canal State Park. We were going around saying what our majors were, and they said engineering, biology, environmental science, environmental law, and they got to me, and I said English. And they said, what are you, wait, what? Well, they didn't say that, but they were looking like that. And you'll see why in just a minute, but I felt like that was exactly where I needed to be because I believe that English encompasses all subjects. It has no boundaries, that we all need literacy. And I believe in literacy across the curriculum, not just that other subjects should be teaching literacy, but that English can encompass and bring in all subjects to the English classroom. So we'll go over about that in just a little bit. But first I want to say, first and foremost, congratulations. To all of you for your teacher forum induction. I have to tell you, I've been doing some snooping, and I have looked at your Google sites, and it is amazing what you guys are doing. In Lexington Richland 5, we are just rebooting our forum, and I am totally stealing all of these great ideas, like the teacher scholarships and the conference. So congratulations to all the teachers of the year and to this forum for being innovators and leaders in education. And certainly we are looking up to you to see how to create a great and strong forum. So congratulations to everybody. So, well, we'll go back. We'll get to Miss Liz in just a minute. But I wanted to talk to you for a little bit. When I was thinking about Be the Change and innovators in education, I was thinking about some of my teachers in elementary, middle, and high. And I wanted to start with Mrs. Garris, who was my 4th grade teacher. And Mrs. Garris was the first teacher to ever give me a notebook. And by notebook, I mean she gave me a red folder with loose leaf paper in it. But she gave us all a notebook, and for 10 minutes every day, she would say, write. And we would put our heads down, and about 3 minutes later, a little head would pop up, and she'd go, put that pen back on that paper. And we'd go back down and put it on paper, and the little child would go, I was a little child, I'm done. I want to read my book. I don't have anything left to write. And she would say, well, make a list. I was like, make a list? Okay, I'll make a list. And she was the first one to talk about how writers write. And they write because they write all the time. They make a schedule. And if you want to be a writer, you have to write. And that was after I was 1989, and that was after Nancy Atwell published her book In the Middle in 1987, right after, and it was before Ralph Pletcher published Keeping a Writer's Notebook in 1996. So Mrs. Garris was right on that cutting edge of education pedagogy that she gifted to us. Mrs. Lisenby was my 8th grade teacher, English also, and she said, she was the first person to put us in groups and make us collaborate and make us do projects. She would set us a task, and we would say, well, what next? And she would say, I don't know, what next? And we would say, well, we've learned all of this. What are we going to do with it? She'd say, I don't know. What are you going to do with it? And she would make us produce products from what we learned. And I still remember making a TV show advertising children's books, and we would go, just between us kids. And you know it's bad if I remember as a 40-year-old my 8th grade choreography to Miss Lisenby's projects. But that was before, that was Lord help me with the years, but around 1992, and the Buck Institute had just established project-based learning in 1985 as a reputable, credible way of instructing students. And then finally, I have to say thank you to my mom, and nobody mention the perm, but and that's my mom, who was also, I grew up in Chesterfield, which is a very small town, and she was the only English teacher, so she was my high school junior English teacher, and she was tough, and I was terrified. But my mom, that was the first, this is really how old I am, but we were getting computers. It was the first computer lab ever to be in our school. And our principal was a little nervous about letting students use it. And he would say, well, Rosetta, what if they break them? What if they go somewhere and they're not supposed to be? What's going to happen? And my mom says, well, we're just going to have to trust that they're going to do what they're supposed to do because we've got to get them in that lab and we've got to get on the computers. And she made us do college and career portfolios. She made us use that PowerPoint technology that had just come out to do presentations. And she was the first through the door into that brand new, sparkling new computer lab with research on the internet. And I'm telling you about all these teachers today because they are known, Simon Sinek says they are known as early adopters. Early adopters, innovators. They are the first to try new things. They are the first, Mrs. Carol Jackson at Dutch Fork High School calls it being the first to the window. They're the first to try new things, and they give all the rest of us the courage to be brave and bold and move forward and try new things also. And they are acting on that system of belief, like what they believe about education. Mrs. Garris believed that writers write. Mrs. Lisley believed that collaboration led to great projects and that you had to come up with your own ending to your research, what happens next. And my mother believed that technology would be the future. It would be the future, and her belief was so strong, it overcame the fear of what is going to happen if these students go somewhere they're not supposed to be, because we all know they do. And these beliefs, and if we can move forward a couple of slides, this research keeps going and keep going. This research says that if you start with the what, we all know what education is supposed to do. We all know where we want to be. We have plenty of standardized tests that tell us where we have to be. So we all know where we're going, but what matters is why we're doing it. And we always hear teachers say, remember your why. What's your why? And it comes from this research from Simon Sinek that says if you start from your why, from your cause, then people will follow you. And people will do what needs to be done. Now, whether we like it or not, we have all been thrown in the position of being early adopters, because of COVID in 2020, just in general. So we've all been thrown in this situation where we have to be early adopters. We have to be innovators. And I will talk for a minute about my why, and I talked a little bit about Santee Cooper, and that is my why is I wanted literacy to go out and about. And I wanted English to be a part of all subjects, and I wanted students to see that all subjects were a part of English. That was my why. And I also wanted, when they handed me these English standards, I thought, well, that's just too much. Nobody can do this. That's way too much. I can't do this by myself. And I didn't try to. I started collaborating. I looked out for other teachers. I asked for help. And what you're about to see is a video of my students. And this was a project we were just about getting ready to go into before March happened. And I was really looking forward to it. And they collaborate with their dance instructors, with their physics teachers. I'll get out of the way so you can see with their musicians, with their music teachers, with their band directors and their color guard choreographers, with their ice skating coaches, again, science teachers, with mechanics, soccer coaches, and welding teachers. And this is how I like to teach. This is my why, for students to see how literacy goes everywhere and is a part of everything. And that collaboration, that I am stronger as a teacher with the help of all other teachers and coaches and community members and churches and Boy Scout troops, that we are all stronger when we're trying to educate our students together. And so we were getting ready to go on a project like this, and my lit students were getting ready to do the March of Dimes service organization, which they love to run and which raises money for the March of Dimes, and then March. And everything stopped and everything changed. And we can move forward. And the how changed. So I think it's important to remember our whys have not changed. We still need to start from our places of strength, our places of what we know is right for children, which is why we're all here today as teacher leaders. And we cannot underestimate the importance of being a teacher leader right now. People are looking to us, for better or for worse, to find a way through and into the next chapter of what education is going to be. It's unwritten. We're writing it, and it's a magical thing. But that how, this is the part we have to figure out. And in March, when I left the classroom, I thought AP tests were coming up in May. I thought, well, we're just going to take my classroom as it is, and we're going to move it over. And it's going to be fine. And my kids are terrified of me. I mean, they're not really, but I'd pretend they are. And they will not miss a beat. And they know that I will come find them if they don't do their work, and we'll just run it like it's supposed to be. That's when we thought we were going to be out for 2 weeks. And then I learned about ghosting. I did not know what that was. And I think now, I still really don't know what it is, but I think what it means is I know you're there, but I can't see you. And I was calling and begging and reaching out, and even my best students were dropping off. And I knew that the how, what I would normally do in my classroom, was not going to function because they were all disappeared within 1 week. So we'll move forward. I realized that you have to go back to that sound educational theory that we know as Maslow, and he's a real deal. And I had to start over. So even though I'd had a lot of those students for 2 years, and they know me, and I knew them, and I was theirs, and they were mine, I had to regain that trust. They did not feel safe. They did not feel secure. They did not feel part of the community. And I had to start over. So in a fit of desperation, we'll move forward, because I couldn't find anybody, and we weren't allowed to use Google Meet, and we weren't allowed to use Zoom because of legalities, and we did not have at District 5 the infrastructure to carry over an entire learning system online in 2 days, which is what we had to prepare. How about y'all? 2 days? A round of applause for everybody figuring this out in 2 days, 1 week. Is that what y'all did? Give yourselves a round of applause for that. Our principals, our administrators, our grade level teachers, we all figured out how to do it, but it wasn't working. So after I looked at Maslow, I started researching trauma-based instruction because I realized that what's happening is we're in a collective trauma. I was grieving. I didn't know what to do next. I didn't know how to get kids to work. I didn't even know how to get them to respond to me. I couldn't get them to pick up the phone. So I read this article by Camille Farrington, and she says our key academic mindsets are, I belong in this community. I can succeed at this. My ability and my competence grow with my effort, and this work has value for me. And that if we can get our students in that academic mindset, then they can succeed. They can move forward. But first, I had to get myself in that academic mindset because I was feeling lost and alone and hopeless. I was grieving my lost classroom and all the wonderful things we were going to do in it. So I just sat down and I read my favorite book, which is called Not a Box. Has anyone read this? I see some hands. It is the sweetest little book, and I just love it. And I do read to my seniors and my juniors, and they tell me that I'm having a meltdown. So, oh, Mrs. Gam, she's going to have a meltdown now. But really, they love it because they all come sit on the floor, just like kindergartners. They all come sit down on the floor and wait for me to talk. So I didn't know if they would hear me. I'd never made a video of myself before teaching, so I just read Not a Box. And if you haven't read it, it's a book about a rabbit, and he's got a box. And the narrator says, "Why are you squirting that box?" And the little rabbit says, "This is not a box," because he is pretending that he's putting out a fire as a fireman, which I picked this picture because it's pretty appropriate, right? How many fires did you put out today before you came here? So I read it, and I put in Google Classroom. We can go to the next slide. As poet Andrea Gibson said, we have to create. It is the only thing louder than destruction. What are you doing to be creative? I signed it for all my classes, CP, my struggling readers, to my AP seniors. I signed it to everybody, and I didn't put a grade to it. I didn't tell them they had to do it. I just posted the video and released it into cyberspace, not knowing what was going to come of it. And they all came back. So we'll move forward. Up come all roughly, I would say about 75% of 140 students. And these are just some of the things they said. I shaved off my eyebrows so that I can make them into any shape I want, depending on the makeup look I'm trying. I had to destroy them to create them, so I hope that pleases Gibson, ha. Now, all these names have been changed to protect the identities of my students. This is Sarah. She's a fashionista. She's brilliant. She's a great writer. I know I look good when she goes, "Mrs. Gams, that's a good jacket." I said, "Yes, I have made it." But that was the first time she talked to me in 2 weeks, and I reached out, and what was happening for Sarah is that she had not left the house in 2 weeks because this was the point where we're all still watching our groceries. We don't know what's happening. And she was terrified that she was going to get COVID and bring it back to her grandmother, who she was living with, and then that will be the end. And she had not moved. That's trauma. Wes delightedly told me that he had created a car company with his cousin. It's a car detailing business to help people who are stuck at home. He was delighted with this virtual business. He could get done in 2.5 hours, and he could go to work because he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He was ready to go. And so and what I was realizing is that as I was isolated and alone, so too were my students. And they needed that connection. They needed to feel that they belonged in the community with me, and I had to rebuild that trust. And they needed to feel that they could be successful. And at that moment, it wasn't the AP work. It wasn't the AP test. It wasn't the EOC. It was no standardized thing that would make them feel successful. It was just a community question into the cyberspace, and they came back. And we can move forward. So as it moves on, this is my son Jake, and the next thing was my ability and my competence grow with my effort. And I'm in a unique position this year because I'm not teaching, and I feel really out of touch, and I'm well aware that I will be a first-year teacher when I go back. It's very clear to me that I no longer know what I'm doing. So sorry if you were looking to me for some sort of authority. I know I'm not the expert. I totally get it. That's y'all now. And I was never an expert when I was in the classroom anyway. I was just having fun because that's part of teaching is the joy, right, with my students. So my son comes home with the Chromebook for virtual school because he's in a hybrid, and he is like, Mama, I got to pin it, and then I got to go to this YouTube video, and then I got to take this Kahoot, and I'm going, wait, what? What is it? And his teacher was rocking and rolling. I got to do this PowerPoint, and I'm like, you're third grade. What is happening? I can't do this. But then, thankfully, it slowed down because his teacher sent home some lovely workbooks, which I never thought I'd be so happy to see. But I was like, thank you. But so was Jake. Jake was like, thank you. Because even though the technology was wonderful and vibrant and quick, he couldn't keep up. But the workbook gave him some time and some space to sit and think and put the pen to the paper, like Mrs. Garris always told us, put the pen to the paper. And there's research to show that pen to paper is always the best way to go. And Jake feels successful, and he can succeed at this. And his teacher's monitoring and adjusting, and she knew it was going too quickly, and she pulled back. Because that's brilliant teaching. It's monitoring your children. We have to change the success criteria, which is why Molly Spearman is trying to get our testing lifted. Wouldn't that be wonderful? We have to change the success criteria. We are in a collective trauma. So as moving forward, and this is the last couple things I'm going to say, because I don't want to keep you here all night, because I love to talk. You can probably tell that. But we'll move forward. The heart of education, which is why we do what we do. All of our whys will be different, but this is at all of our hearts, I think. It's why they have this thing called the teacher heart. This work has value for me. We have to feel that way as teachers. We have to feel that we can be successful. We have to feel that the work we're doing has value. We have to feel that we belong to this community, this academic community that's education, that we're leading, that we're making up as we go, that we're recreating on the spot, that we're reimagining, which is a pretty amazing thing what teachers are doing, and we're the only people who can do it. Everyone else has done all they can do. The infrastructure's been set, but we're the only people who can connect with our students, who can pull them in, and who can teach them our content. We're it. And we will imagine what that looks like. And we will start, as we've always started, with the relationships with our students, going back to that basic connection that they so need, especially right now. We will go back to the problem solving as we work together collaboratively to figure this out, and as we work collaboratively with our students. And we will go back to the application and creation of assignments and of success criteria that matches the situation in which we're in. We can still have high expectations. We can still demand excellence and acknowledge that we are in a pandemic and that some of our students don't have access to everything they need at home and they don't have the parent support. We can still be innovators while acknowledging that the way we worked in our classroom before might not work today. And it's going to take a village. It's going to take a community to do this, which is why we have our administrators and our superintendents and our communities at large helping us out to do this. So the heart of education has not changed. So the why, the how, the why has not changed. The what has not changed, which is we have to use education to give ourselves productive 21st century citizens. The how is what we're changing, and we're changing it right now. And the how will be driven by our beliefs. And if we lead from our beliefs, if we lead from our hearts, instead of trying to point to a test that really, honestly, is no longer applicable, which is why Molly Spearman is trying to get it to go. If we do these things, then we can create the how in a way that the work will have meaning for students. And we are the teacher leaders to do that. We are the only people who can do that, which is why you're sitting in this room today as innovators in education. And I will follow you gladly when I return to the classroom because I'm going to need some help, like a lot of it. So I think we can skip to the end. I've talked my way through all my slides, but I am genuinely so happy to be here and in the presence of all this brilliance. I really will be reaching out. Are there any English teachers in the room? I'm going to need y'all. So just look for my email. But take a minute and just acknowledge everything that you have done to get here. And it's a long road to go, but it is not forever. We will come out the other side of this. And if we do it right, if we lead with our hearts, if we lead with our whys, we can come out better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gams. That was truly inspirational, and I know that it's something that, I don't know about y'all teachers, but it's something that we really needed to hear right now. So thank you so much for that inspirational speech. I'm going to turn it over to Amy.
All right, so now Amanda and I, we are so blessed to receive the opportunity to get to know all of you by reading your applications, visiting during the board reception and recognition night. I know that seemed like so long ago. And sitting in on your interviews, performance tasks for the semifinalists, and even the honor roll teachers. Like our students, you each have wonderful talents and traits that make you wonderful and an amazing addition to our teacher forum family. And like any good teacher, we provided a teacher interest inventory prior to the induction to get to know each and every one of you a little bit more so that we can recognize you this evening. When each Teacher of the Year is called, you will have the opportunity to get to know these amazing educators on a personal level as well.
And at this time, can I have our board and cabinet members just please stand to the front of the stage, on this side of the stage, please.
You can just spread along here. We have him come up to the front. Okay. All right.
Thank you all very much. As Amy, our current teacher forum chair, and I call your name, teachers, please stand, walk to be recognized by our board and cabinet members, collect your envelope from Mr. Bonzel, and walk around to the back of the room to find your seat. Although there are some toys who couldn't make it this evening, we would still like to call their name and recognize them. So obviously we will not be shaking hands, so when you go through by the board and cabinet, just a nod or a little shuffle if you feel like it. We have some music, and we're getting ready to celebrate you. So without further ado, our 2020 Teachers of the Year.
All right, from Berkeley Elementary, Kaylee Vinson, home of the Fawns. Kaylee loves college football, Saturdays, go Gamecocks. Her favorite quote regarding education is teachers are reservoirs from which, through the process of education, students draw the water of life. If she could choose one theme song that represents her, that song would be Rise Up by Andra Day.
And from Berkeley Intermediate, Miss Corrine Tuttle, home of the Little Bucks. Corrine went to the school that she teaches at. Her current principal was her assistant principal, and when she was in school, that was her assistant principal. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," Nelson Mandela. If she could choose one theme song that represents her, that song would be Feeling This by Blink-182.
From Cainhoy Elementary, Ashley Illig, home of the Tigers. Ashley is obsessed with gardening. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "The purpose of education is to replace an empty mind with an open one," by Malcolm Forbes. If she could choose one song that represents her, that song would be Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. and I believe she is not here. Oops, sorry.
And from Bowen's Corner, Miss Stephanie Dickerson, home of the Soaring Eagles. Stephanie was a top 10 junior Olympic gymnast. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "It's not how we make mistakes, it's how we correct them that defines us." Rachel Walchin. If she could choose one theme song that represents her, that song will be "I Will Survive," very appropriate, by Gloria Gaynor.
From Cane Bay Elementary, Anna Brewster, home of the Cobras. Anna went to high school with Radio, who the movie Radio was filmed after. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Every student can learn, just not in the same way or on the same day." George Evans. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "All Right" by Darius Rucker, hometown favorite.
And from Cross Elementary, Mr. Maurice Lawrence, home of the Trojans. Maurice plays many instruments, get ready for this guys, including the trumpet, the clarinet, and the saxophone. His favorite quote regarding education is, "Teaching is an instinctual art, mindful of potential, craving of realizations, a pausing, seamless process." A. Bartlett Giamonti. If he could choose one song that represents him, it would be "Sunday Morning" by Maroon 5.
From Daniel Allen School, Stephanie Donnelly, home of the Offsprees. Stephanie has backpacked across Europe for 6 weeks. Her favorite quote regarding education is that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, by Nelson Mandela. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "Happy" by Pharrell. "I try to remain positive," she says, "and look on the bright side of things. Negative thoughts can bring a person down. If you look at things as a glass half full, then life is a lot happier."
From Foxbank Elementary, Miss Kathleen Rowland, home of the Boykins. Kathleen is from Massachusetts. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "All of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them." Walt Disney. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "Roar" by Katy Perry.
Ooh, that's a good one. Hanahan Elementary, Ivy mom, home of the Hawks. Go Hawks. Ivy's family loves Disney. They're pass holders and DVC members. You have to teach standards, that's a given, but standards don't determine how you deliver the content. And it's your delivery that drives engagement. The Wild Card by Hope and Wade King. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "Oceans" by Hillsong.
From Hal Hall Ames, Miss Angela Rogers, home of the Chameleons. Angela was a magician's assistant. She's appeared, disappeared, floated, and guys, she was even sawed in half, which is pretty awesome. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere." Albert Einstein. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "For Good Music and Lyrics" by Stephen Schwartz.
From J.K. Gordine Elementary, Lynn Dubé, home of the Wolf Pups. Lynn broke her leg skydiving and her arm in a dirt bike accident. The more that you read, the more things you'll know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Dr. Seuss. I can read with my eyes shut. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "I Hope You Dance" by Leanne Womack.
And from Marrington Elementary, Miss Tracy Connor, home of the Pathfinders. Tracy met her husband while hiking in the woods looking for water. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Every child deserves a champion, an adult that will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best they possibly can be," by Rita Pearson. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "Staying Alive" by the Bee Gees. And single ladies, you might want to start hiking.
From Mount Holly Elementary, Jimmy Freeman, home of the Falcons. Jimmy recently transformed his love of art into a career. His favorite quote regarding education is, "Learning is not the product of teaching. Learning is the product of the activity of learners. John Holt. If he could choose one song that represents him, it would be A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke.
Next up, from Nexton Elementary, we have Miss Natalie Pittman, home of the Explorers. Natalie knows how to dance the floss, which is amazing.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Her favorite quote regarding education is, "What sculpture is a block of marble? Education is to a human soul." Joseph Addison. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Let My Love Open the Door by Pete Townsend.
All right, from Philip Simmons Elementary, Elizabeth Killian, home of the Iron Horses. Elizabeth lived and went to school in Paris, France when she was 18. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "The beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you." B.B. King. Or smile big and the world will smile right alongside you. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be A Beautiful Day by U2. And I know she's not here.
And from Sangaree Intermediate, Miss Rebecca Long, home of the Patriots. Rebecca recently adopted a black lab named Birdie. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "The best way to prepare students for the future is empowering them in the present," John Spencer. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be The Obvious Child by Paul Simon.
From St. Stephen Elementary, Melissa Williams, home of the Rams. Melissa is a quilter. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Knowledge is power." If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Stronger by Kelly Clarkson. Good one.
And from Westview Elementary, Miss Jennifer Beaver, home of the Whales. Okay, this is impressive, and I need more money so I can travel after reading this. Jennifer has visited 19 countries, including India and Gambia. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "We shouldn't teach great books, we should teach a love of reading." B.F. Skinner. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Don't Stop Believin', possibly the best karaoke song in the world by Journey.
From Westview Middle, Melody Noon, home of the Pelicans. Melody taught preschool special education for 4 years without any experience or certification in that area. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that didn't work." Thomas Edison. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Try Everything by Shakira.
From Berkeley Middle, Miss Celia DeMonte, home of the Bucks. Celia loves football, especially Mississippi State football. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," Nelson Mandela. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack.
From Cane Bay Middle, Katie Seneth, home of the Cobras. Katie has an 8-year-old Chiweenie that is deaf. Her name is Lola. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I will learn" by Benjamin Franklin. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Don't Worry, Be Happy.
From Hanahan Middle, Miss Alexis Brock, home of the Hawks. Alexis has taught dance for the last 8 years. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I will remember, involve me and I will learn," Benjamin Franklin. And if she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Happy by Pharrell Williams.
From Marrington Middle School of the Arts, Michelle Baum, home of the Monarchs. Michelle says her family spends a great deal of time fostering animals for the Charleston Animal Society. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "The secret in education lies in respecting the student," Ralph Waldo Emerson. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Stand By Me by Ben E. King.
From Sangaree Middle, Miss Michelle Norwood, home of the Eagles. Michelle has collected over 200 Funko Pops. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Education is the movement from darkness to light," Alan Bloom. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Closer to Find by the Indigo Girls.
From St. Stephen Middle, Nicole Whitfield, home of the Rams. Nicole likes to sew lap blankets. Her favorite quote regarding education is the aim of education should be to teach us rather how to think than what to think, rather to improve our minds so as to enable us to think for ourselves than to load the memory with thoughts of other men. By Billy Beattie.
From Sedgefield Middle, Miss Katie McFarland, home of the Sharks. Katie has traveled to Bali, Thailand, Cambodia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, and Mexico. And if you're looking for a travel partner, I'm possibly free. Her favorite quote regarding education is, because the existing education system is oriented towards materialistic goals, we need to pay special attention to inner values such as tolerance, forgiveness, love, and compassion. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be All You Need Is Love by the Beatles.
From Westview Middle, Arthur Jashinsky, home of the Warriors. Arthur can talk like Donald Duck. His favorite quote regarding education is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, by Theodore Roosevelt. If he could choose one song that represents him, it would be Back Then by Mike Jones.
From Berkeley Alternative, Mr. Owen Brittle, home of the All-Stars. Owen is a third-generation Berkeley County educator. His favorite quote regarding education is, the roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet, Aristotle. If he could choose one song that represents him, it would be Shotgun by George Ezra.
Berkeley Middle College, Jonathan Golden, home of the Titans. Jonathan went to summer school his 10th grade year. His favorite quote regarding education is what remains after one has forgotten everything he learned in school, by Albert Einstein. If he can choose one song that represents him, it would be Much Too Young by Garth Brooks.
And from Berkeley High, Miss Crystal Peace, home of the Stags. Crystal can sing, play the keyboard, and drums. Her favorite quote regarding education is, you must be the change that you wish to see in the world, which is very fitting because it's your theme this year, by Mahatma Gandhi. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be More Than Anything by Lamar Campbell.
From Cane Bay High, Jenna Oliver, home of the Cobras. Jenna has swam in the bioluminescent bay in Puerto Rico. Her favorite quote regarding education is, hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Tiny Dancer by Elton John.
And from Cross High, Dr. Miriam Smith, home of the Trojans. She has two wonderful grandsons, David Jr. and Dylan. Her favorite quote is, do not confine your children to your own learning, for they were born in another time. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor.
From Goose Creek High, Emily Robinson, home of the Gators. Emily competed in surf competitions in high school. Her favorite quote regarding education is, our first job as teachers is to make sure that we learn our students, that we connect with them on a real level, showing respect for their culture and affirming their worthiness to receive the best education possible, by James Ford. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be The Breakup Song by Francesca. Thank you very much, yes.
From Hanahan High, Miss Amy Rogers, home of the Hawks. Amy, pay attention. Amy met her husband while performing in a play with him in college. Her favorite quote is, it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge, by Albert Einstein. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be The Second Star to the Right by Jonathan Brooke.
From Philip Simmons High, Taylor South, home of the Iron Horses. Taylor said one of the best things she's ever done was going skydiving over the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. One of her favorite quotes regarding education is, "Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all," by Aristotle. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "True Colors" by Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick.
And from Stratford High, Mr. Ricky Reyes, home of the Knights. Ricky plays ice hockey. His favorite quote regarding education is, "One coach and teachers will impact more young people in 1 year than the average person does in a lifetime," by Billy Graham. If he could choose one song that represents him, it would be "Mahente" by J Balvin. And Mr. Reyes, I gotta tell you, I looked up this song. I put it on my Spotify playlist, so thank you. It's awesome.
Then from Timberland High, Lane Rouse, home of the Wolves. Lane worked in archaeology and museums before she became a teacher. Her favorite quote is, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," Nelson Mandela. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "The Greatest Love of All" by Whitney Houston.
And now for our 8 semifinalists for the District Teacher of the Year. And these were amazing educators. Amy and I had the opportunity to pop in on their Zoom meeting, and they're just incredible. Our first semifinalist is from Devon Forest Elementary, Miss Christy Cannon, home of the Dragons. Christy ran her first marathon in January. Guys, that's like 26 and something miles. That's incredible. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "When words leave off, music begins." If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "Shout" by the Isley Brothers.
Our second semifinalist is from Goose Creek Elementary, Deidre, or Dee, Donahue, home of the Otters. Dee loves thrifting. She enjoys decorating her home and classroom with unique treasures. She loves a good deal at the flea market or thrift store. Her favorite quote regarding education: "If your students didn't have to be there, would you teach in an empty room?" If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "Here Again" by Elevation Worship.
Our third semifinalist was from Sangaree Elementary, Miss Allie Little, home of the Stars. Allie has been to Kenya 3 times. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "We Praise You" by Brandon Lake, Matt Redman, Phil Wickham, and Brian Johnson.
And our fourth semifinalist is from Macedonia Middle, Sabrina Ross, home of the Foxes. Sabrina collects tea sets and holds tea parties to fund nonprofit organizations. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward," Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "I'll Just Say Yes" by Brian Courtney Wilson.
Our fifth semifinalist was from Philip Simmons Middle, Miss Suzette Coors, home of the Iron Horses. Suzette's dad taught her how to water ski, and it's still her favorite sport. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "Every Heart" by Kenny Chesney.
Our sixth semifinalist is from College Park Elementary, Judy Rainey, home of the Beagles. Judy saw Jimi Hendrix live in concert. Wow, that's awesome. When she was a teenager. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be "We Weren't Born to Follow" by Bon Jovi.
Judy, all solid choices. Our seventh semifinalist is from College Park Middle, Mr. Jared Crosby, home of the Squires. Jared stated that his most innovative ideas occur as he is falling asleep and when he is dreaming. And ideas while sleeping, and he has ideas while sleeping and reflects on them the following morning. His favorite quote regarding education is, "It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it," by Lou Holtz. If he could choose one song that represents him, it would be "Lean on Me" by Bill Withers.
Our 8th semifinalist is from Whitesville Elementary, Miss Carolyn Davis, home of the Wise Owls. Carolyn is so passionate about innovative projects that she once stored way too much cardboard for her makerspace projects in a storage room at her school. Her favorite quote regarding education is, "If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time." If she could choose one song that represents her, it would be Brave by Sarah Bareilles.
Once again, let's give it up for all of our toys and our 8 semifinalists. Our board cabinet members, Mr. Bonzel, Ms. Brandy, thank you all so much. You can now be seated. Dr. Wolf, don't get too comfortable. We would now like to welcome Dr. Kelly Wolf, Chief Academic and Innovations Officer and Teacher Forum District Liaison, to the stage to recognize our 2020 BCSD Honor Roll teachers and introduce our new district toy.
First, let me say I want to congratulate all of you. We sent out a call for innovators as we got into this round of Teacher of the Year, and you all were truly early adopters. We acknowledged you way before COVID started, and so it was a great competition. There are so many great teachers out there that are doing phenomenal things, and I want to encourage you to continue to go forward with all of your innovative ideas as we go into this school year. So tonight, I am thrilled to honor our 2020 Honor Roll Teachers of the Year. These educators are nothing short of amazing. They are living models of our life and work skills in action. Each Honor Roll teacher went through a panel interview and performance task demonstrating how they utilize innovative strategies in the classroom. It is my pleasure to introduce to Forum our Honor Roll teachers. When your name is called, please stand so you can be recognized. Our first Honor Roll teacher is Jared Crosby from College Park Middle. Mr. Crosby is now a 7th grade science teacher at College Park Middle. He has been teaching for 3 years. His #1 goal is to provide students with an education full of real-world experiences and skills they will never forget. He strives to create an environment that is innovative, fun, and meaningful for his students, a place where they can create things that they are proud of and develop interpersonal skills that are applicable no matter what their future holds. He and his wife have a heart for helping others. They serve on the guest services team at the Cathedral of Praise and are both certified mentors who currently completed their foster to adopt process through the South Carolina Department of Social Services. They have a 3-year-old daughter and are looking forward to adopting a child in need of a forever home. Mr. Crosby blew us away with his performance task interview. During his interview, several of his students popped on the meet to demonstrate all the real-world and innovative skills that they use on a daily basis in his classroom. Mr. Crosby even found a way for his students to continue to experiment and conduct lab experiments during e-learning. He is truly an innovator. One thing that was interesting is Mr. Crosby we found out afterwards, he had a student that was not engaging. And she actually popped on that meet, surprised him because she thought it was so important for us to know what a great teacher he is. So congratulations. Our next honor roll teacher is Carolyn Davis, Whitesville Elementary. Ms. Davis has taught for a total of 28 years. She has spent the last 3 years as the media specialist at Whitesville Elementary. Something that excites Carolyn Davis about teaching is being able to implement innovative ideas that only further enhance the content her students are learning. Under her direction, students excel through STEAM-related projects incorporating Legos, Play-Doh, cubes, tiles, craft sticks, and more. They also engage in digital programs like Google Mystery Hangouts, virtual reality, and Adobe Spark book trailers. By moving toward an innovative, student-centered environment, the Media Center is designed to nurture imagination and unleash innovators of the future by creating a safe environment for students to take risks and make mistakes without fear, Davis said in her application. During her performance task interview, Ms. Davis walked us through a dynamic and engaging illustration showing us that this ain't your grandma's library. She even had blue hair. She's got a great wig. She showed us several innovative and interactive strategies she uses on a daily basis to engage young readers. She employs a growth mindset with all students, reminding them to fail forward, and envisions media specialists playing an important role in the future of education. Let's congratulate. And last, Judy Rainey, College Park Elementary. Miss Rainey has been teaching first and second grade at College Park Elementary for 2 years. She has taught a total of 39 years. Innovation in her classroom looks like personalized learning using task cards, choice boards, and exploration boards as learning tools when students showing their learning in ways that works best for them while moving along at their own learning pathways. Innovation in our classroom looks like, sounds like, and feels like a passion-based learning environment where students' passions make learning more meaningful, she wrote in her Teacher of the Year application. Since relocating to South Carolina in 2005, Ms. Rainey has been very active in leadership activities involving recruiting, retaining, and advancing teachers. During her performance task, Ms. Rainey wowed us with all her wonderful instructional strategies and personalized learning opportunities that she provided to students in her classroom. She envisions the future where both the ideologies will be blended in all classrooms and hopes that there will be more opportunity for multi-age classrooms in the future. It is without further ado that I announce our 2020 Teacher of the Year, Ms. Judy Rainey.
Thank you. Unlike Ms. Gams, I had to write a script, so. Good afternoon. I'm very honored to be here this afternoon with so many amazing educators. I do have to be transparent with you, though. Standing here in front of you is way out of my comfort zone. Henry Ford once said, "One of the greatest discoveries a man makes, one of his great surprises, is to find that he can do what he was afraid he couldn't do." So I am proud to say that at this very moment, I'm actually doing one of the things that I was always afraid I couldn't do. As a matter of fact, I was explaining to my students yesterday what I had to do tonight and how I needed to dig really deep down inside to have the courage to stand and speak in front of adults. One of my blended distance learners said, "Mrs. Rainey, I know you can do it because I believe in you." With those words from a 6-year-old, I feel like I could conquer the world now. That was my silver lining for the week. Back in March, I thought the first 2 weeks of e-learning were the most difficult and challenging weeks in my entire teaching career. Learning to teach 23, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds virtually was no easy task. Yet, along with my PLC, we adapted and were resilient in our efforts to make learning meaningful for all of our learners. Little did I know, though, that we would be facing an even more difficult challenge come September. Teaching and assessing blended distance learners while also teaching and assessing traditional learners at the same time, as well as juggling all of the necessary safety protocols, as all of you know, is not easy. Many days I still feel like the clumsy clown juggler in the circus as I drop so many balls. I can honestly say that this September was by far the most challenging, frustrating, exhausting, and depressing month in my entire career. However, as John Gordon, the author of The Energy Bus, tweeted, 2020 is filled with many tests and challenges, but it's also an opportunity for amazing testimonies. It's so true. There are silver linings. During the first week of school, one of my learners wrote in her journal, "My teacher is important to me. I love her so much." In the midst of my own challenges, frustrations, and exhaustion, this student's thoughts were my silver lining. Her words touched my heart and were needed more than she could ever imagine. On that day, I had to stop and remember my why. I was so caught up in my problems, I had forgotten that my students are actually happy, learning, and so excited to be back in school, whether they are learning in the classroom with me or learning from home via Google Meets. We are building strong relationships. These are my silver linings. We are slowly turning our challenges into opportunities. We are proving that we are resilient, and we're bouncing back. We're adapting to this new way of teaching and learning while pushing ourselves out of our comfort zones to make sure our learners are receiving meaningful and rigorous instruction. I've always felt that education is about the change and creating real-life experiences for students that are unique to them. To quote George Couros, the author of The Innovator's Mindset and Innovate Inside the Box, you simply need to understand that the world is changing, and if you don't change with it, the world will decide that it doesn't need you anymore. We are all needed to change the game of school. We owe it to our students, our parents, our colleagues, our administrators, and ourselves. George Couros also states, innovation is not reserved for the few. It is something we will all need to embrace if we are to move forward. Don't hold back. Share what you're learning and what's working for you. As a teacher, leader, and forum member, I'm excited to work with each of you to pick your brains and learn from you. I'm also excited about the opportunity to inspire and empower teachers to look beyond the daily challenges and focus on the opportunities this situation has given us so we can transform learning across our district. By working together as a forum, we can, as George Couros says, create experiences where students are knocking down the doors to get in, whether that is our virtual doors for our students learning from home or the doors in our brick and mortar buildings. Through critical thinking and innovation, we are discovering what Henry Ford said, we can do what we were afraid we couldn't do. My multi-age learners are learning about neuroplasticity and how the neurons in their brains are firing when they tackle difficult tasks. I can only imagine that during the month of September, if we could have seen inside our own teacher brains, it probably looked like the 4th of July. Our neurons were and still are firing rapidly and continuously as we problem solve and turn our challenges into opportunities on a daily basis. Our thousands of firing neurons are building new pathways for a different way of learning and teaching. As John Gordon tweeted last week, if everything came easy, we wouldn't know what it felt like to truly succeed. Obstacles are meant to be overcome. Fear is meant to be conquered. Success is meant to be achieved. Play to win today. I'm now looking at this through a different lens, a scientific one with a human element. Someone shared with me recently that we are actually going through the engineering design process daily now. Central Services gave us a prototype, and now it is up to teachers to test it, reflect on it, plan, redesign, and continue to iterate as many times as necessary to make this prototype work for our kids and teachers. I know it will continue to be an exhausting process for all of us, and it will look different in every classroom and every school. But I have faith in our abilities and strength as individuals. A few weeks ago, John Gordon tweeted, "Positive thinking doesn't mean you ignore the reality of the situation. It means you have the optimism, belief, and faith to overcome the situation." As my multi-agers will tell you, we are all learning how to have bubblegum brains instead of brick brains. We are rewiring our brains and changing fixed mindsets into growth mindsets. We are slowly changing the game of school, one day at a time. As George Couros says, when forward-thinking schools encourage today's learners to become creators and leaders, I believe they, in turn, will create a better world. So, I challenge you to continue to look daily for those silver linings. They are there. Sometimes we might have to dig a little deeper to find them, but they are there and will continue to keep us on the positive road. I leave you with one last quote from John Gordon. "Where there's a will, there's a way. Don't let your challenges hold you back. Rise above and remember that anything is possible." We've got this. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Those were really inspiring words, and we're so honored and happy to have you represent us as our 2020 District Teacher of the Year. Congratulations once again to our amazing toys. Just give them a round of applause. So now, before you're inducted, just a little bit of information about our Teacher Forum. The Berkeley County Teacher Forum was organized in the late 1980s under the leadership of 2 District Teachers of the Year who were both members of the South Carolina Teacher Forum Steering Committee. Since then, our forum has grown into a model for other teacher forums across the state. The original goals of the forum were to establish a vehicle through which top concerns of educational professionals in the district could be voiced publicly and communicated directly to policymakers, to construct a mechanism by which those concerns could be communicated both formally and informally on a continual basis to better inform policymakers of the educational needs of the district from the eyes of the frontline professionals.
So now, our 2020 toys, you will be inducted momentarily into the Teacher Forum. On your tables, you will find a card with the pledge. If you will please grab the card and stand as we take the pledge together. The pledge you are about to make is for the newly elected Teachers of the Year, having been selected by your colleagues to represent your school on the Berkeley County Teacher Forum. Respond to the following questions with "I will." Do you hereby accept membership into the Berkeley County Teacher Forum? Wonderful. Phew. Will you, to the best of your ability, attend meetings and contribute to the shared vision on the forum? Will you act as a liaison between the faculty and staff of your school and the Teacher Forum? Will you help strengthen the Berkeley County Teacher Forum by actively serving on committees and participating in activities sponsored by the forum? We will have fun, y'all. Will you strive to strengthen your leadership as you promote the work of the forum? On behalf of the Berkeley County Teacher Forum Leadership and Advisory Council, I welcome you with open arms, air hugs, and a big heart into the Teacher Forum family. Having been elected by your peers once again is one of the greatest honors that any teacher can receive. In selecting you, they've placed you in an elite group of teacher leaders. This privilege is a result of your teaching experience and leadership. Make no mistake. Through your membership in this forum, you will have an opportunity to make a difference, to step outside your normal role, out of your comfort zone, out of your 4 walls in your classroom, and have an opportunity to advocate on new levels for the students and teachers of Berkeley County School District. As the 2020 chair of Berkeley County Teacher Forum, I now declare that you are officially inducted into the Berkeley County Teacher Forum family. Congratulations.
In your gift bag, you will find your Teacher Forum name tags. We ask that you wear this name tag with pride anytime that you're representing your school and/or Teacher Forum. And this is not in my script, but I just want to let you guys know this is when it becomes real. This is when you truly become part of the Teacher Forum family, and I'm going to try my best not to cry. For the past 2 years, you will make lifelong friends. You will always remember the conference t-shirts. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will in January. You will be supported by amazing educators. They will make you a better teacher. They will make you a better person. And you will walk out of it stronger, a stronger person for your teachers in your building because you're absolutely teacher leaders. You will walk out of it possibly 5 to 10 pounds, or in my case, more heavier because you've consumed mass amounts of chocolate, but we're not going to talk about that. And you guys, you will just learn all of these innovative strategies, and you have somebody with you that's in the trenches now. And regardless of whether you're elementary, your middle, your high school, you will become a family. I guarantee it. So I'm so honored and happy to have y'all as part of our Teacher Forum family, and I can think of no better leaders than Amy and Judy. Thank you.
Now I am going to turn it over to Dr. Ingram. He is going to have some closing remarks for us, and then Amanda and I will be back up afterwards. Dr. Ingram, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to use that. Judy, you blew me away. Left me speechless, which is very hard to do. What a gift. What a gift to have a child tell you, Miss Rainey, I believe in you. And you crushed it. Didn't she? She just absolutely crushed it. Leadership is not about position, power, and title. Quite frankly, that's the easy part. We lead through knowledge and influence, and that's what you do. And I read an interesting quote this morning, and it's so appropriate, that leaders, true leaders, don't strive to show others how amazing they are. They strive to show others how amazing they are. And I can't think of anything more appropriate. I do want to take a moment to thank our school board, not because superintendents are supposed to do that, but I've been at this a long time. And for those of you who know what I think, I'm not a fan of standardized memorization tests. Some school boards are. Our school board is not. You're unhitched from the post. You are truly unhitched from the post. So adapt, create, show others how resilient you are, and embrace the fact that the things that count the most can't be counted. Show others how amazing they are. I have an amazing team at Central Services, and I think I can speak for every one of us. We believe in you. We believe in you. Create, dare to imagine, and make the future what we want it to be. Thank you, congratulations, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Dr. Ingram. One final thing that Miss Amanda doesn't know. Due to COVID, and I'll try not to cry, but due to COVID, obviously we've had to push off the date of the induction. Silver lining in that is Amanda had to come out of teacher forum retirement to help me with it. So I just want to spend a couple of seconds to thank Amanda personally. Not only did she come out of retirement, she fed me lots of chocolate, which I hold you responsible for my COVID-19 pounds. But to know Amanda is to love Amanda. She has the biggest heart and the kindest soul. She's a workhorse. Those toys, 2019 toys that are in here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Once a teacher forum member is always a teacher forum member. I've got your number. But I just wanted to say thank you. You are a true inspiration, a true servant leader. So I thank you and I appreciate you. And now you officially can go get some sleep. But anyways, thank you, Amanda, and thank you for everyone. I know it's Football Friday, so we are closing it up. Any final?
Just congratulations, and it's such an honor to be Teacher of the Year, and you will be leaders in your building. And if y'all need anything, like she said, once we're in Teacher Forum, we're family. So you can always reach out. And guys, it's a different year. I think we all know that, but it's also an amazing opportunity for growth. And I think we're seeing, like Amy said, the silver linings. And just congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations, 20 Toys. Our honor roll teachers, real quick, if you will stay back for a few minutes. Thank you.